Audley Scott, and you're listening to Flashpoint Radio. Rise and shine, your morning boost of inspiration, news, and fun. With Mikey G, Lady Elise, and Coralie Karen, the unmistakable combination, synergized to navigate.
It's like we're running in circles, going around every day, getting stuck in the hurdles of yesterday. Don't you wanna go further away from the fray? Let's not get stuck in our worries, we'll make our own way. Won't you come outside where the sunflowers bloom? Breathe in the air, look up to the moon. I'll meet you outside, away from the crowd. Just you and me together, we'll all sing better outside. Just us in the sky.
Meticulous Monday, and we are here this morning serving up your breakfast for an hour. Welcome to the breakfast hour, family and friends. We know that after a long spite, 2 days of weekend, that you're looking forward to sharing with us again in the morning, and so we're here, hopefully not to disappoint, but to excite and make sure that the start to your day is one that is filled with excitement, lots of information, lots of just having a wonderful time together, so that as you go out and you encounter many things throughout the day, that you would have gotten the start to set this tone for, as I said, a meticulous Monday. Lady Elise and Mikey G, how was your weekend?
Well, I'm gonna just kick it right here and just say, since you said Lady Elise first, I'm gonna just say, Lady Elise, good morning. How was your weekend?
In no particular order.
Because you called her name first, I'm gonna say, Lady Elise, how was your weekend? I'm passing it on.
Well, I'll say this, a meticulous, current causes me to pause a little bit, and I'm thinking about how I use the verb meticulous and how we can make this meticulous Monday in every respect. And certainly we hope to take you through the breakfast hour meticulously.
I was waiting for that. Amazing. Yeah, amazing. Well, as for me, I want to say I'm thankful for God to give me the opportunity to be here this morning. Considering how many things could have gone wrong, I am indeed grateful for waking up this morning. Just that. The miracle of waking up is sometimes glanced over by many because you don't really see the connection between waking up and not waking up. Sometimes you don't see.
Take it for granted, right?
Take it for granted, and this morning I want to just look at it a little bit and just to say thanks to the God that I serve, that I went through this weekend. Lots of stuff to do. We went through so much. Flashpoint did so many things. And so it was an amazing weekend. So many functions we did, and collectively we pulled it off. And so I want to thank God for all of that. I want to thank God for the team, Flashpoint team. And there's no I in team. I was trying to find somebody who could spell that word team with the letter I in there. I know Corey is better at spelling than myself. I admit it right now on air. And of course, I right to say and say, and that also, say it again.
I cannot spell the impossible. There is no I.
I don't know. I'm just admitting the truth here. I'm just saying I was not the spelling bee competition winner, and I'm certain that having said that, weekend that we had. All right, we're gonna go for the devotion, and when we come back, we have some talks. We talk about a few things happenings around our world today. Today's Monday, and we talk about the world, its views, what happens in it, and some of the things that we like, that dislike, or can look forward to in the coming years to come. Of course, this morning's program is brought to you by M&M Construction. For all your construction needs right here in the Grand Cayman Islands. And of course, our devotional is done by the Lady Susan Long. So when we come back,
Good morning. This is day 7. Consider him who endured such hostility, lest you become weary and discouraged in your souls. Hebrews chapter 12, verse 3. Are you struggling? Written by Joanna Yoder. I was in my 2nd year of widowhood and I was struggling. Morning after morning, my prayer life consisted of one daily sigh. Lord, I shouldn't be struggling like this. And why not? His still small voice asked me from within one morning. Then the answer came, unrecognized pride. Somehow I had thought that a person of my spiritual maturity should be beyond such struggle. What a ridiculous thought. I had never been a widow before and needed the freedom to be a true learner, even a struggling learner. At the same time, I was reminded of the story of a man who took home a cocoon so he could watch the emperor moth emerge. As the moth struggled to get through the tiny opening, the man enlarged it with a snip of his scissors. The moth emerged easily, but its wings were shriveled. The struggle through the narrow opening is God's way of forcing fluid from its body into its wings. The merciful snip, in reality, was cruel. Hebrews 12 describes the Christian life as a race that involves endurance, discipline, and correction. We never get beyond the need of a holy striving against self and sin. Sometimes the struggle is exactly what we need to become what God intends us to be. When God allows His chastening hand to give us little rest, His only purpose is our good, because He wants for us His best. Our quote this morning reads, "We experience God's strength in the strain of our struggle." End quote.
Looking to build your dream home or renovate your space? M&M Construction is the perfect place. We bring your vision to life with precision and quality craftsmanship. From design to construction, we guide you every step, ensuring seamless coordination and superior results. Our professional roof inspection and maintenance services will ensure that your roof is sturdy this hurricane season. So, if you are ready to start your construction journey, call us today at 345-927-7509. Build with confidence. Build with M&M Construction. 345-927-7509.
Welcome back. Welcome back. We're here this morning talking about, coming off of a great weekend, and I too want to add my quota of thanks to those who supported us during our inaugural fish fry yesterday, Sunday, actually. And so just to really extend our appreciation to the team and for all those who came out. It was an amazing event. Mikey would have spoken to the team and how pulling together makes such a great difference in the success of any event, small or large. If you have persons who are dedicated, committed to the cause, then anything that comes from that is a success. So again, thank you to all those who supported, all those who came from as early as and as late as, because they wanted to support Flashpoint. So our humblest of thank yous to everyone for the support. So what's happening in our world? A lot of things. Mondays when we focus on the world events.
Yes. Well, I wanted to just chime in a little bit before we get into that.
Okay.
And give my quote of thank you to the Cayman community for turning up for that event. I'm telling you, it was an amazing turnout. And the love was shown. I could feel the love. Could you feel the love, Lady Curly?
We felt it. We certainly were made aware that we are a part of the community and we are a significant part of the community. And also, it also reminds us of our responsibility to share care and love to our community. The persons who would have, at one point, I saw persons coming in droves.
Wow.
Some were called, some were sent. Members of the team would have reached out to persons who they were told, I am supporting Flashpoint. I have prepared a meal, but I am supporting Flashpoint. And we certainly we are thankful and grateful for the support shown. And so I think as part of our responsibility of feeling that care is also caring for you. And so we want to connect with you and also share in whatever is happening within the community. We are more than happy to be a part, be the supportive arm to your businesses, to whatever ventures that you just let us know. And of course, the Flashpoint team, being the community, being a part of the community, will definitely lend the support.
And in so saying, Lady Elise, we want to use the opportunity to remind persons about the birthday club. So again, send in your details when it's your birthday. You don't have to put the year, but by all means, if you are comfortable doing so, send it to the email address is flashpointmediaja@gmail.com. So send on the information. We want to celebrate with you. I can tell you that when it's my birthday, I am very, very, very exclusive. It's my birthday. So, so if you feel as passionate about celebrating life, I'm not saying only wait until your birthday, but certainly it's about making it special, a little bit more special. And so we want to be a part of it. We want to play your music, the genre or the artist that you feel is is the one that makes it special for you. So invite us to be a part of it, and we certainly want to be there. With that,
You know, and you know, as we transition to the segment of our program where we ask the question, what's happening in our world? I will say, piggyback on the comment we made as we started the breakfast hour, and it's related to the fragility of life. And I will share a message that was shared with one of our colleagues in our school group, and she was, you know, seeing so much sadness and death around her. She spoke of a 40 and a 30-year-old who died of natural causes. And she said in her final preamble, she was saying, we are in the last stretch of time. All you guys, I'm encouraging you to set up yourselves with God. Tomorrow is not guaranteed. If it happens, I know there's hope after, because we will see another life, we'll see God. God too has done too much for us. Why should we waste all this time? So she's, in other words, reminding us that life is not, there are no guarantees. So let us live purposefully, because we know not what the next moment has in store.
absolutely, Lady Elise. You know, life is precious, and when you think about how frivolous we treat with it, there are certain persons who, for a mere dollars, are willing to go out and perform such gruesome crimes against each other. You know, and this morning when I was looking at the lesson review, and it talks about love and love of God, and you know, there's reference to how much God loves us as a people. You wonder, where has the love gone for our brother? We talk about being a part of a community, and certainly what we experienced yesterday really was encouraging. But there's so many persons who are hurting for one reason or another. And so when we look at what's happening in our world today, we look at, why would one intentionally take the life of another for whatever reason? You look at we took the time to look at some statistics, and we note that the top 10 countries in the world with the highest murder rates per, and they quote it per 1,000 persons. It's startling. It says Jamaica tops the list with 49.3 per 10,000 persons. Then you have Ecuador, Haiti,
Jamaica
Honduras.
tops the list? Did you just say Jamaica tops the list?
Correct. 49.3. That's a murder rate per 100,000. So for every 100,000, there is 49.3 of those persons being murdered. And then you have United States is the 10th at 5.79. So when you look at the top of the list and the top 10, the 10th person, you see that a great disparity. And it is the top three: Jamaica, Ecuador, Haiti, and I would maybe want to include Honduras because it's a close fourth. You know, we're looking at 49 and 31 as a rate. And so it then begs the question, why are we no longer our brother's keeper? Why are we so intent on taking the life of somebody else? And you know, I often wonder, do people appreciate the consequences? Is it that they're not as harsh as they should be? And when you deep dive into it, it says to us that a lot of the structure is contributory. So in these countries, the top four, and well, I would say the top four because of how startling it is. It says that it is the corruption in the country. It's almost that governments can be bought, the institutions as well that are established to protect the individual. So you have the justice system, and so persons are not as confident that it would provide the actual support that it was set up to provide. And so it says to us that we need to go back to understanding what real love is in our generation, in our time. And I saw news recently, Mikey G, Lady Elise, that says to us that there has been some attention given, certainly in Jamaica, about trying to stem the continued, crime rate.
Yes.
But at the base of it is, who is your neighbor?
Yes.
And are we really being neighborly to each other?
When you think about this entire thing of crime rate in terms of murder and stuff like that, too many people benefiting from it. It's a money matter. It's how people make money. It's a sad thing to say, and I'm very saddened by the fact that it has gone to this. I don't think it's stronger measures that we need. We just need dedicated persons who are intentional to fight against these criminal elements. And the criminal elements that you're fighting against is not just the men on the street running around with the guns, but you're looking about people who are in high places, who are actually responsible for some of these people running around with the guns.
Well, how did they get it?
Well, I was talking to how did they get
those? Yeah, so
we have to look at
these persons, the profile of these persons. Guns are not cheap. Ammunitions are not cheap.
No, when you see a bunch of guys with how many AK-47s and assault rifles, firearms, and guns, it is difficult to say that they have the money to do it. But then you have to understand also that with the level of crime in terms of scamming, that people are allowed to continue to do without there is any checks and balance. Because if you see somebody who have no job and owning a $12 billion house, you must know something wrong.
Yeah. Marco Rubio, when he visited Jamaica recently, addressed the gun problem, acknowledging to some degree that it is coming out of the United States. And so his comment and commitment, even more so, was to help or be more involved in preventing the guns from leaving the United States. Because, that was identified as one of the main sources for these rifles and the guns in general. So you're right, Mikey G. If there is a really a collaborative effort behind, styming these things and putting the necessary measures in place, and it has to start from the top, because it comes with, and we have to say it, as you mentioned, it's about the dollars and cents.
Yes.
The people who have the resources, who have the policies and the procedures to really build a strong environment that speaks against, the perpetration of these crimes, are the ones who are expected to put the things in place. So when you talk about corruption in government, corruption in the different places, it has to be an administration that recognizes it for what it is and the destructive nature that it presents and put the resources behind it.
Question, one of the big things about fighting crime, that there are persons who are willing to, have the conversation. But we have developed a culture in Jamaica called Informer for Dead. The Informer for Dead culture is ingrained in the society in a way that it allows law-abiding citizens to be quiet, and so quiet that criminals are now in charge of the community. Because by silencing yourself against crime, you have given yourself over to the criminals to rule you. If you were talking about it and calling them criminals and then identify them like we used to do, then they would become the dons of the communities as we see them now. And we know this to be a fact.
And then the question for you, Mikey G, is, is, as I was saying, is the structure that is established to protect those persons who would provide the information strong enough to protect them? Because when you talk about the corruption, it is said that the persons who receive the information and expected to handle it in the interest of the wider population may very well be in cahoots with those who are in fact perpetrating crime.
And so people are fearful for their lives. People are fearful for their lives. People do not want to then give information, and the next thing you know, in fact, I have a friend of mine who says the new thing is to burn down your house.
And
that's not new. And that's not new. I want them to remember that that's not a new thing. That was what was introduced in the 1980s, 1970s.
Yeah. As you mentioned, that framework, I know that in the States, it's snitches gets stitches. So in different community, it has a different phrase, but the concept is very much the same. But what is it, it's interesting that oftentimes it comes back to the home and as the institution that builds that resilient individual, that child. It goes back to the children. How do we create an environment where they are feeling that security so that they're not enticed by these crimes? You talk about people who do not have work, but yet still they're owning things that require them to purchase. Where are they getting these funds from?
Well, you must understand that if when scarcity exists, and I want to lift my hat off to the late, great Wilmot Perkins. Mm-hmm. Wilmot Perkins would talk about the scarcity of life. And wherever scarcity exists, opportunity becomes, the opportunities are somewhat sketchy, and you can use people in any way. If you want somebody to do something real gruesome, you just have to know that there's something that they need and they're in need of. And right now people are in need of money, better life. Because it seems that it is a thing to do. People want to do it. But here's a paradox for you. You will now realize that people have a better life. But yet still, this now has become another thing. That while you may have a better way of doing it, you choose this way to do it. So it's not no longer say that the person is poor and pauperized, that's why you're doing it. You possibly have money, or your family have enough to live on, or you can use your talents to make money, but you choose this path because you're an evil person.
But you see, Mikey G, again, I am not speaking with any authority, but what it is, certainly what supports that is, if you're in, you can't come out, because the organization is built on this almost, it's like a closed unit. And so if you want to come out of it, you can't just come in and say, all right, I have enough, I'm going to leave. It's almost like it traps you, because people are going to say, well,
Loyalty is important.
Be that you're going to then provide the information to the authorities.
Somebody else. To somebody else. Somebody else.
Exactly. So you keep having to build it because there is a very strong, you talk about loyalty, but the loyalty is that you have to make sure that all the connections in this organization is so strong. There's no weak link because it could be the demise of, and you know what happens is greed. So the more you get is the more you want. It's what drives you as well.
It is a human nature.
If this is how your wealth is funneled, then why would you want to close that tap? It's what it is. I was saying when I talk about the home, I was having a conversation with a friend of mine, and oftentimes the home is very crucial to how these crimes are perpetrated. So when the bloody shirt comes home, who washes it?
Yes.
When you see your child who you know is not working comes home with a high-end vehicle or has wads of money, are the responsible persons in the household taking the initiative to question and to really, inquire?
Nobody wants to ask the question. The money comes and it can buy more food, it can do more, it can buy a bigger screen TV, a bigger TV, it can afford more stuff. It can add another apartment to the house that you are living in now and get more space for the family to expand. Nobody wants to know where the money comes.
And so the greed, the greed, Mikey, is not just limited to those who have arrived or have amassed all these wealth, but it also what fuels those who don't have it to want to pursue it by whatever means is necessary. And so, again, it's our nature. Is it worth the price? Because a lot of times, if what you see, and again, I'm not speaking from personal, it's just observation, is that if you don't stop it when it starts, then it festers and becomes something so big that it requires amputation in order to extricate yourself from what you have now, almost gotten bondaged into.
Yeah.
So again, it's the home. I was watching a movie, right? And I do watch movies. I like Denzel Washington. And
all the girls I know do.
Yes. He's one of those that is not just what he portrays on the screen, but also when you look at what you see about how he carries himself outside of the screen or off screen, then he is absolutely gorgeous. So anyway, I was watching,
and that's the final word. Hold on, and that's Lady Elise had to smile. Hold on. I did not know where Lady Elise was. I know you're going to say something important, Lady Karen. Please hold your thoughts. I could see it. I just said, and you said absolutely gorgeous, and then went on because you couldn't stop. But anyways, I don't want to lose the thought, Lady Elise had to say.
Yes, Karen, yes, he's absolutely gorgeous.
I know you have it. She's a good.
That was a lesser point, That was a lesser point because I was telling you that I was watching EQ2 recently.
Right.
And one of the things that came out in it is that he saw this young man who didn't have a lot of resources, and he was getting drafted into bad company, and he intervened and said to him, "Listen, it's quick money." The essence of what he's saying, it's quick money, but it comes at a high price. Why not pursue your talent and apply it in a positive way, and so it sort of lands with me because a lot of the young people will see in their communities, as you mentioned, the dons, and even not just the dons, but when you look at the television screen, you see these persons with all this wealth. But the price that it comes at is so very high that it needs somebody of maturity to almost stop them in their tracks. And that's what the movie portrayed in this regard. He was stopped in his track to say, "Do you really have you read the fine print? Do you really understand what it is going to not just getting money, but your emotional and your sustained existence because it's a short-lived environment." And at the end of the movie, you see him going to school and really that is what I'm saying. The home is where you would want to foster. It's not the quick fix, it's not the quick money, but really put yourself in a way that you're going to make a positive contribution, not just to society, but begin with yourself. Something that you can feel proud of as an individual, and then as a result, will contribute even greater to the society and building it. It's theory. It may seem theoretical, but again, on Sabbath, Pastor Nevins spoke about small group. And what it says to me in a big way is that we need to start with ourselves. We need to be the change that we want. And so if it is that in my home, I am seeing something that is not so right, as a responsible person, as a mature one, have the conversation and reaffirm our young people so that they know it is not what you have that defines you. It is your character. It is what you contribute to your neighbor that is more important.
I don't know.
In a positive.
I would say to you, Karen, there's a number of things that came from your conversation that I could chime in on. I know Lady Elise wants to say something and that, but Lady Elise, I'm going to step back a little bit. You want to say what you came to say? And I'm going to go to a little bit of what you said, Karen.
As I think about the levels of crime and the profitability, that seems to be the question where persons would have valued. You know what I find disturbing though? What I find disturbing, and it might be a different conversation, is that we have reached the level where when crimes are committed, we look for reasons, we rationalize it.
Why it happens? That person deserve what they got because of this reason.
Yes.
We no longer want to find the person who does it because we are already satisfied that the outcome is perfectly right.
So no, so the question is, what is it? The value of a person's life, is it based on what you would have judged or figured out? So the fact that this person did this or is alleged to be involved in that, then it now the society now is more accepting. And I don't know if it's just a defense mechanism. So, we are in a really dark place. The world is in a dark place. It's enough that we have wars. And when you talk about the wars that are in different countries and we see mass killings, last week on our feature, we featured Thailand that experienced a massive earthquake. And at that time, the death toll was climbing. Last week we had mentioned it was 1,600, but I believe it has surpassed that, beyond that figure. And just the thought of so many persons dying was quite disturbing and sad to say the world is in such chaos, and we certainly recognize our mortality. But when you think about crime and those things that are avoidable, the loss of life, certainly we have grown leaps and bounds in what we can offer to individuals as support. So if there's a issue of counseling, there are organizations out there that are geared towards settling differences, conflict resolution. We know about counseling. We have psychologists and psychiatrists, and we have a a wide array of resources out there to help us to deal with things that are not necessarily black and white, gray or purple or whatever, issues that allow us to deal with conflicts. And we are a Christian nation. I mean, when you think about a place like Jamaica that have how many churches per capita, let's talk about that, and yet be considered so high in the list of crime capital. What is happening? What is the question that we need to ask? Why is the world in so much chaos?
What you're looking at through Lady Elise is the profitability that we looked at. We looked at education and the connection between education and wealth. They don't match up. The youngsters are seeing it. They notice it. A teacher have to work for pretty much all their life, and when they are like 60, they'll get a retirement fund and they barely have a little house and a little car. And that's what they see, that's what they are exemplifying. The teachers, it's like a parent is the child's first experience to see the father and mother grow them up in either a wealthy home or a home that is well looked after in terms of finances, or in poverty. And you're looking at a wide cross section of persons who have experienced poverty as their first reality of life. And the first experience I have is I have to take my mother out of this. And you know, they're thinking of single mother parenting homes. I have to take my mother out of this. And the only way to take her out is to kill somebody else, to take their stuff, to take their mother out. Right? So you kill somebody else's father or mother to then take your mother out of the situation. But you can't see the connection of rational because the society simply somewhere along the line, I don't know if it's a miscommunication, if it's being taught or miscommunication, but it's not reaching where it needs to reach. So
Values, Mikey G, is values. Where have values? You know, Lady Elise mentioned the number of churches that we have, and I was waiting on you to say that right beside the churches are the bars. You know, because we have lost our moral compass, and that's the truth of it. Because when you think about, let's use the scenario that you presented, when that child comes home and says, "Mom, I am taking you out of this situation, and in order to do so, I had to do this." Does she wash the clothes? Does she hide the gun? Does she what does she do?
But I want to tell her that
reclaim her child. Because the truth is, the truth is that once it starts, you know, because when you move from A to B, you're going to know again the greed. You're going to see something else that wants you to move to C, and so you're going to always be motivated by something else that is going to justify.
Here is something that got me the other day in the news. The gully needed, there was a problem with the gully in one of these communities. And on the news, the lady says the last time the gully cleaned was one of those artists. I don't remember the name now. Popcorn, I think they said. Popcorn cleaned the gully. I don't know if it's an artist or it was one of the local men. So I don't want to bring the connection to the two. So let me not do that. But them say a Popcorn clean it. So my mind went to the singer, who was probably at this point somebody who saw the need of cleaning the gully. That was the responsibility of the government. And that, because I saw that, it says that the government lack on doing its duty for the people creates the opportunities of crime that are existing. Our local dons, who are real criminals in the communities, are actually using the opportunity of the inability or the poor policing or security for the country to insert himself as the better person who can keep the peace, you know. That's what you're looking at, you know. So when you see that, and then a politician would come on the TV, national television, and tell you how much they need the criminals, the dons, to be there, because if you take them out, half of this town can be policed by what we have as security forces. By making that statement alone, we created the mindset that the need is there and the society is in bed with them, and creates that mindset that it is a right thing to do, you know. And so we find stupid, you know, when we talked last week about the cabinet, and they gave the riddle and which animal was in the cabinet or not in the cabinet. And you know, I was saying there was one animal that was in the cabinet, and you can find them everywhere, and it's a donkey. You know, he's there all the time. He's always present. You can find a few of those within the cabinet all the time who will come out and say some real donkey stuff, you know, and do them too.
But you know, I think we need, looking at the time, Mikey, I think what we need to, in all the conversation, is to remind ourselves that we have a significant part to play, and it's not to the exclusion or the ignorance of what is going on. Because how do you tell somebody who is getting a loaf of bread today and they were accustomed to eating half a slice the day before not to take it? You
That's
know?
what I'm saying.
And so it's almost like
scarcity and spoils. People go for that every day of the week. They don't care.
So we have to,
your life don't value it.
One of the things that I really appreciated with Dr. Thomas's approach, we're talking about the anti-abortionist advocate that would have come on the Sensational Sunday, and we would have seen clips from him, is that he's not just talking about do not kill your child, but he is providing that social network,
yes,
to a safety net, actually, to capture and support these women in giving them opportunities of learning, of being in their homes when they do, if they decide to keep the child, or whether they are putting the child up for adoption. It's just making sure that they're seeing the different elements and that affects this decision, and being present in supporting it. And so the idea behind even our community outreach program in the church, you talk about the community services, is to go out there and see the needs and address it, so that it may not change the world in a day, but if we start one community at a time, it must make an impact. It must test to the community that we as a church represent something.
Wanted to say
I
this.
spoke about some time ago, if the church was absent, would the community miss it? And this is a means of making an impact and making sure that we have relevance in the community.
I believe that it is not lack of God in the community. That when we talk about the number of churches within the per capita of Jamaica, especially, it's not the lack of the gospel that is missing. It is that God now aware again. Satan aware now, you know? And so it is a beneficial thing to do Satan's bidding than God. God don't look so appealing right. And you must understand. So I'm not going to blame the church. And when I say the church, you know, people always miss the church, always see the building and miss the people. I'm not going to blame the church for not doing. I'm going to say that we probably could do more. But I think the church, in its best way, is to teach people. We have looked at government, and we're going to donkeys again, who have actually, in law, take God out of the community by law. And then you blame the church for it afterwards. So, we have to look at these things. We have to look at Satanists who are getting power. And so God's people also need to be empowered to go in power. Ooh. The only problem is that when some of us get in there, we just turn Satan to, you know. Anyways, we looked at a crime happening in Cayman the other day. And we're seeing crime just not in one place. And I want to tell you, before we even get into it, that and I think we're trying to go now. That I believe that every citizen of Jamaica should own a gun for themselves. That's my belief. I believe that I should have a fighting chance that when somebody comes to kick off my door, I can have a chance to stand up against them. Even if it's me alone.
But how does it work in America though, Mikey G? The Americans, they're very liberal with gun laws. How is that working for them?
Of course it works. In Texas it does. You can't go down there and do anything to anybody, they shoot you right. That's it.
Yeah, but then there are so many.
It works. If you know that when you come in this bar,
these are the same people who are shooting up schools, and one man who decided that he was upset with his employer or maybe a co-worker decided he's going to go and shoot up the entire.
Yes, but if all the co-workers in there had guns, they would probably shoot him too. And training, he would be dead before he started. So we have to see that if there was a countermeasure. If I had my firearm and somebody firing at me, I pull my gun. I mean, I go bust 2 shots. If it's in a wild shot, I go fire. I go fire something.
At this juncture.
So that's how it's going to go. So I'm sure that somebody going to get shot, but that'll just me alone, right?
I know. Yeah. Before we get
I see Lady Elise quiet as a lamb. That's it.
We provide solutions. That are more amenable to our social values.
Yes, well, I don't know. Lady Elise, I don't think Lady Elise believe in the gun laws. To have everybody armed. She don't.
Yeah. It's that time of the morning. I believe we're up on the news.
Yeah, let's do this.
Time.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's get out of here. Yeah. Oh boy. I don't know. We are seeing crime and violence everywhere. Well, we wanted to talk a little bit on the crime that happened in Cayman the other day, but I guess tomorrow morning we might have to touch on it a little bit when we come on a little bit.
It's such a sad situation here, and we are a small community, so when something of this magnitude happens, it impacts every single one of us, and so we have been sharing on the news recently an incident, and so we are certainly keeping the family members of that victim in prayer during this very difficult situation. But as you mentioned, it's time for the news, and so we will hear what's happening locally and internationally as well.
Alright guys, of course we have come to this point. Of course, this segment of the Breakfast Hour is brought to you by Asai Ultrasound for all your ultrasound needs right here in the Grand Cayman Islands.
When you need ultrasound that's safe and effective, you must visit Asai Ultrasound Imaging. They're conveniently located at number 4, Chestnut Center, Smith Road, Georgetown, Cayman Islands. With experienced technologists with over 20 years experience, their friendly staff will make you comfortable while you get your procedure done. Asai Ultrasound Imaging is open Mondays to Fridays, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. and 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. on Saturdays. Call Asai Ultrasound Imaging 345-949-2454 or 345-938-3426. That's 345-949-2454 or 345-938-3426.
Good morning. It is April 7th, and these are the news headlines on Flashpoint Radio. I'm Cordy Karen. Residents feel earthquake tremor in Grand Cayman. We begin this morning with reports of a light earthquake tremor
felt across Grand Cayman on Sunday. The 4.1 magnitude quake struck 46 miles east-southeast of East End at a depth of 6.2 miles, according to the United States Geological Survey. Hazard Management Cayman Islands confirmed there were no reports of damage and no tsunami threat. Officials are continuing to monitor the situation and are urging the public to stay prepared. A spokesperson stated, quote, "Aftershocks can occur up to a year following a major quake. We thank the many residents who contacted 911 and HMCI with their reports. It's this kind of community response that strengthens our resilience," end quote. Burning car victim identified as SEMA's head of anti-money laundering. In a tragic update out of Bordentown, police have identified the body found in a burning car last Thursday as 47-year-old Julianne Miles, the head of the anti-money laundering division at the Cayman Islands Monetary Authority. She was discovered in a vehicle at an open lot in Lookout Gardens around 2:10 p.m. Authorities have confirmed no signs of life were present upon arrival. The investigation continues, and police are warning the public to be cautious with what is shared online. Quote, "We urge responsible sharing of information to avoid misinformation and to respect the family during this difficult time," the RCIPS said in a statement. Cayman UK Parliament Group still dormant. 10 months after the UK's general elections, the all-party parliamentary group for the Cayman Islands remains inactive. The group, once focused on strengthening ties with Cayman, has not been reformed since the Labour government took office in July 2024. Meanwhile, APPGs for other overseas territories, including Gibraltar and the Falkland Islands, are already up and running. Local officials are pushing for its reinstatement, noting that the group is key to correcting global misperceptions about Cayman's financial services and boosting the island's reputation with positive stories. Delta resumes Detroit to Grand Cayman flights this winter. Delta Airlines is bringing back its non-stop service from Detroit to Grand Cayman starting December 20, 2025 and running through April 12, 2026. Director of Tourism Rosa Harris made the announcement during the Kappa Airline Leader Summit at Hotel Indigo on Friday. She described the return as a major milestone in the Cayman Islands tourism recovery, adding that the route had been highly requested since the pandemic. Quote, "A year ago it felt like this route was gone for good. Its return shows the power of strong relationships and relentless promotion," she said. Miss World Cayman fallout continues. The Miss World Cayman Islands pageant remains under scrutiny as another former contestant speaks out. First runner-up, Estefana McDermott, has broken her silence following the appointment of new title holder Jada Ramoon after the early exits of 2024 winner Letitia Bush and McDermott herself. In a heartfelt post, McDermott said she never received formal recognition or participation opportunities linked to her title. She stated, quote, "I felt it was time to speak, not just for myself, but for others who have faced mistreatment and bullying in pageants," end quote. The organization has cited, quote, "contractual obligations," end quote, for the changes, but public debate continues. In the region, Malahue Fort sparks election debate. Over in Jamaica, a heated debate has erupted over when the next general elections are constitutionally due. Minister of Legal and Constitutional Affairs Marlene Malahue Fort clarified last week that Parliament's 5-year term ends this September and elections must be held within 3 months of its dissolution, potentially pushing elections into December 2025. The clarification sparked a political firestorm, with the opposition PNP accusing her of sowing confusion and attempting to extend the government's time in power. Legal experts have, however, backed Malihou Fort's interpretation. The PNP insists elections should be held by September as expected by the public and warns against any deviation. This constitutional clash has landed Malihou Fort in the spotlight of this week's Newsmaker. Over in Guyana, President Ali urges AI for global good. Guyana's President Irfan Ali is championing artificial intelligence as a tool for equitable development. Speaking at the Berkeley Innovation Forum in California, Ali said AI should be accessible to all nations, not just a privileged few. He emphasized the potential of AI to transform healthcare, agriculture, education, and to help tackle climate change and poverty. Ali urged that profit and power must not drive AI's future. Equity and inclusion must. He also noted that smart agriculture, food supply chains, and predictive analytics could benefit from AI's capabilities. Those were your news headlines on Flashpoint Radio. Please continue to stay tuned for more updates throughout the day.
When you need ultrasound that's safe and effective, you must visit Asai Ultrasound Imaging. They're conveniently located at number 4 Chestnut Center, Smith Road, Georgetown, Cayman Islands. With experienced technologists with over 20 years experience, their friendly staff will make you comfortable while you get your procedure done. Asai Ultrasound Imaging is open Mondays to Fridays, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. and 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. on Saturdays. Call Asai Ultrasound Imaging 345-949-2454 or 345-938-3426. That's 345-949-2454 or 345-938-3426.
I'm Audley Scott, and you're listening to Flashpoint Radio, Rise and Shine, your morning boost of inspiration, news, and fun. With Mikey G, Lady Elise, and Coralie Karen, the unmistakable combination, synergized to navigate.
So we are closing it out. I know that we would have looked at almost a precursor to that devastating news that we heard with regard to Miss Miles, the head of SEMA. First of all, would want to extend our condolences to the family and friends, as well as the wider SEMA community. You know, just to let them know that we as a community, it doesn't go unnoticed the hurt that comes out of such a horrible incident and having to lose a loved one, such as in this manner, actually. You know, so again, our condolences to the family and friends.
Lady Elise, if you want to chime in here, you know, you can.
I will ask you to note that Lady Elise.
No, I'm just saying. She's able to say a little bit right now. Yes.
Yes, I can chime in. You know, so much happening in the news, and of course, as was shared earlier, they have identified the person who was found in that vehicle, that burning vehicle in condolences to the family. And I know that the news also shared about elections in Jamaica and advances in artificial intelligence. There's so much happening in our world, and I will also share with you that while we were discussing what's happening crime-wise in the world, I recognize that there's no place that's immune, and that's where we're going to bring the conversation to know that our safety only lies in God. There's no place that is totally immune from the impact of crime. But I will go trying to say that I had researched, and the safest country, can you tell me where in?
Safest country. Well, I like Curly
Yes,
Current,
which
maybe
country
Curly
is
Current.
it?
Well, I'm going to leave that one for Curly Current to tell me this morning.
Oh, really, Mikey G? Like,
Yeah.
really?
I'm going to you to tell me the safest country.
I'm going to make a guess. Would it be Cayman Islands?
It's Iceland. Iceland is the safest country in the world.
Iceland.
Yeah, that's interesting.
What is it? Because there's too much ice?
Well,
What would ice have to do with it?
So you're saying that if we have more ice along these borders and places, we might be safer?
Is the heat that's causing it, is what you're saying?
No, we have a problem.
Oh.
Lady Elise has somewhat single-handedly solved the crime problem for the entire world.
I want to hear you. I would like for you to expound on it. What exactly have you gleaned as the solution, Mikey G?
No, I said that she said Iceland. All right, I'm just linking things together.
Right. So what?
My dyslexic mind allows me to see things a little different, right? Dyslexia is a thing that they say is some form of what they say, a disorder. That's what it is. And so, if some people,
So hold on. So it's one of two things. Are you saying that we need to do? Are you saying that we need to migrate to Iceland, Mikey G? Is that what you're saying?
No. I'm saying that based on what Lady Elise says, that Iceland produces, actually, at the lowest crime rate are the safest country in the entire world. And I would imagine that there's a lot of ice in Iceland. That's where my mind is going.
Say that you're the view of the ice.
Is there, let's ask first. Let's be clear. Is there a lot of ice in Iceland?
I would also share with you. Was 91 on the list, and there are over 200 countries that's listed, and if Jamaica falls at 91.
Sorry, go again with that. Go again with that statistics. We missed something a while ago. Go ahead.
In the list of the safest countries worldwide.
The list of the safest countries in the world.
On the crime is not the only factor that's taken into consideration. It's talking about in terms of wars and certain measurement tools. And I need to find this source and share with you. But Jamaica falls as number 91.
As the safest.
In a list of over 200 countries.
Where does Cayman fall?
And Cayman wasn't even listed on that statistic. But I'm going to share with you the source in a little bit.
So you say Cayman was not listed on the statistics. Well, that's interesting. Well, if I'm not competing, I'm not in the race. So, So I just came and just look at it and say, you know what, they ain't competing in that foolishness.
I know what I know, and that's enough for me, right? Safe, you know.
Oh,
but as we close it out,
yes, taking it out,
Mike, let me call your name first.
My name.
As we close it out, Mikey G and Lady Elise, it's just to remind ourselves to be our brother's keeper. You know, there's so many things going on, and I would not be naive to say that the factors aren't real that would encourage someone to take a negative road or approach to certain things. But I find that if we remind each other that we are mortal and that we have a need for each other, we talk about teamwork, Mikey G, as you mentioned earlier, is that the teamwork is not just when we're looking at a project. The teamwork is our existence. We're here, we're on this planet, and we know that the sin element is rampant because we're dealing with an adversary that is wrath with us, and so he's going to put everything in our place to convince us that what we're doing is okay. But I would just encourage each and every one of us to acknowledge that God is very much a part of the space. You know, his love is what drives him or drove him to the cross. And as individuals, for especially Bible-believing individuals, we have a greater responsibility to remind people, to live so that people understand that God's love is still relevant today. It's not the person who is seeking to take our lives or to take what we would have worked hard for. There is the counter that is so much more beautiful, that is so much more available to us. And let's start today. You know, today is a day for us to really look out for each other and make an intentional approach to making someone know that they're loved and that we serve. It doesn't have to be all negative, that we can live in a space where we can coexist.
Well, with that note, Lady Curly Curran, I would say like, share, subscribe to Flashpoint, and of course hit the notification bell so every time one of these programs comes up, you get your first opportunity to see it. Alright, this morning's episode is brought to you by M&M Construction and SI Ultrasound for all your ultrasound needs right here in the Grand Cayman Island. We're sorry that we didn't share some of our community events and our notice board, but tomorrow morning, be sure that we'll be bringing those to you first thing in the morning. Of course, we want to thank you for joining us for today's experience right here on the Breakfast Hour. We can indeed say for our birthday club members, please remember, go to our email, send it to our email. It is flashpointradioja@gmail.com. Send your name and send not necessarily your age, but when you were born, maybe, and to let us know how to recognize your birthday when it comes. With that said, Lady Curly Curran, I want to thank you for joining me this morning. And of course, thank also Lady Elise for being a part of this beautiful morning's experience.
A ridiculous Monday, everyone. Have a great day.
All right. Enjoy it. Of course, remember to continue to listen to Flashpoint Radio on www.flashpointmedia.ky. Our radio plays all day, continually, and never stops. Great programming, great programs for you and the family. We are family oriented because we do believe heavily in the family, the design that God created. Anything outside of that, we already assigned it to the enemy, and we know who that is. Thank you guys. Have a great day. Bless you. Bye.
Earthquake call and say, "Hello, Miss Lee. Yes, it's me, Earthquake. I come in Tuesday around 10. No, sir. Earthquake does arrive unannounced. And when it comes, it shake all sense and sensibility out of we. Remain calm, stay inside, and do the DCH. Drop, hover, hold on. Once the shaking starts, you know it's earthquake. Make a quick move to a safe place. Don't go to the doorway or any exit. Stairs might block up or full of people. Elevator, avoid that because you might get in and poof, power gone, and you're stuck in that box without ear. Take cover under a strong table or a bed, or crouch against an inside wall or in a corner, and cover your face and your head with your arms. Remember, DCH, drop, cover, hold on. Glass windows and doors, outside walls and doors in an earthquake, bad news. Take for yourself. Most injuries during earthquakes happen when something drop and hit people entering or exiting a building. Last thing, don't want to run outside and ask, you feel it, you feel it? Remain calm, stay indoors until all the shaking stop, and do the DCH, drop, cover, hold on.
I'm Audley Scott, and you're listening to Flashpoint Radio, Rise and Shine, your morning boost of inspiration, news, and fun, with Mikey G, Lady Elise, and Coralie Karen, the unmistakable combination, synergized to navigate.
It's like we're running in circles, going around every day, getting stuck in the hurdles of yesterday. Don't you wanna go further, away from the fray? Let's not get stuck in our worries, we'll make our own way. Won't you come outside where the sunflowers bloom? Breathe in the air, look up to the moon. I'll meet you outside, away from the crowd. Just you and me together, and we'll all sing there outside. Just us in the sky. I will go wherever, I'll be yours Are we part of this circus? Is it innate? Feels like a heavy burden, but I can't relate. Do our actions even matter? Or is this a fate? At least now I'm feeling better, I know I'm here to stay. Won't you come outside where the sunflowers bloom? Breathe in the air, look up to the moon. I'll meet you outside, away from the crowd. Just you and me together, and we'll all sing there outside. Just us in the sky. I will go wherever, I'll be yours forever.
2 Corinthians 2:9 and 10.
No eye has seen, no ear has heard, no mind has conceived what God has prepared for those who love Him. But God has revealed it to us by His Spirit.
You're locked into the station that helps you tap into those incredible things that God is preparing for you.
You're listening to